What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? So today's video is going to be a reaction to Bleacher Report's 5 blockbuster NBA trade ideas that should happen this offseason. So you know how Bleacher Report is. Usually their articles, they're out there, they're kind of wild. I'm expecting some of these trades to be kind of crappy or just kind of lopsided or just would never happen. But I guess this is just for fun. Shout out to Andy Bailey who wrote this article. So a chaotic 2019 offseason gave way to one of the most uniquely difficult regular seasons in NBA history, from the decline in television ratings to the tragic death of Kobe Bryant. Okay, so here, I thought there was maybe some logic that they would just say here. So we're sure to see a wave of rumors regarding some of the game stars. So yeah, let's get into this. So the first one is the Spurs aim to stay relevant. Okay, they're going to trade for Kevin Love. So they're going to trade LaMarcus Aldridge for Kevin Love. I mean, the only way... Okay, so Aldridge has an option was already picked up next year. It was guaranteed. So I'm trying to think here, because the Cavs would probably do this if they would get a second, just because they would get off of a big salary a year earlier. Because after this year, Love will have 3 more years, I believe, left on this deal. I think. Or 2. He might have 2 years left on this deal. I forget. It's either 3 or 2. And they would get off a year early at least with getting Aldridge. Is Love really that much better than Aldridge right now? I guess he's younger. He's under contract. Aldridge probably stays on the floor more, and Aldridge started taking threes this year, so it's not like you're getting that floor speed. I mean, I don't know. That's not a crazy idea, but I just don't see San Antonio doing that. Cleveland, yeah, because they probably get off the Love contract, especially if they'll get like a second in there or something. And I don't know. I don't really think either team would probably agree to this, but I guess Cleveland would, maybe a little bit more than San Antonio. I just don't know if San Antonio wants to get locked into that money when they're going to be in a rebuild, because, well, it depends if they bring back DeMar DeRozan. So that was the first trade. Yeah, I mean, hopefully this is the closest, or I'm thinking this might be one of the more logical ones, and then some ones we'll see that might be crazy. I'm guessing we'll see a Chris Paul trade. Maybe we'll see a Bradley Beal trade. So yeah, I don't think San Antonio would do that. So the next one we have is OKC leans into the rebuild, so they trade Chris Paul to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, DSJ, and a 2020 first-round pick from the Clippers. I think both teams would do this. Honestly, if the Knicks have to give up, what, the 28th pick in the draft, or that's what it would be right now, so who knows, it could be the 30th pick if they do win it all. Julius Randle, they're comfortable giving up. Bobby Portis, they're comfortable giving up. And after this season, Dennis Smith Jr., they're comfortable giving up. So I think the Knicks would do this. And honestly, the Clippers, you're getting a first-round pick. Randle has 1 more year. Portis, I don't know how they would do this. They would have to pick up his team option. So they'd have Portis for a year. They'd have DSJ for a year. And they could try to work with him. Honestly, I think the Thunder would and should do this trade if they were to be offered this next year. You want to be as bad as possible anyway. It's a good 2021 draft class. And you're going to probably want to be bad because you're not going to be great unless SGA develops and leads your team to a playoff spot, which could happen. But I think that they would and should do this trade if the Knicks were to offer this. Now, the Knicks, I don't think the Knicks should trade for Chris Paul personally. I think they should draft a point guard and still rebuild. I think they should try to sign a veteran point guard, not like a George Hill, but somebody in that criteria who's just a veteran, smart point guard that can kind of develop and mold these next wave of point guards, who's not going to start. No, this isn't going to be a Taj Gibson thing. This isn't going to be a Jared Jack thing. I'm looking at you, Jeff Hornacek, and David Fizdale, and Mike Miller, and basically every Knicks prior head coach that plays their veterans over their young guys, because Frank Ntilikina's development has stunted because of that. I think if you... No, I don't think so. I think you got a drafted point guard here. You hope you get LaMelo, Cole Anthony, Killian Hayes, whoever you think could be your point guard for the future here. And you build around RJ. You build around that point guard. You build around Mitchell Robinson. And you get vets to come off the bench to help them out. You don't get vets to start over them. And I think you're just not solving that problem. Chris Paul isn't in his prime. He's not going to lead you to a playoffs. He may make you respectable. He may do that, and he may remold your culture, and I guess that's maybe what they want to do. They want to be looked at as a solid team, a respectable team, and not looked as like the dumpster fire and the laughingstock of the NBA that they've been for the last couple of years. So, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of the Knicks doing that for their development and rebuild, because they're still rebuilding. So, it doesn't really make sense trading a future first. So, I don't... If they could make this trade without trading a first, I do that. Maybe you trade the Detroit second and your second this year, or... I don't even know if they have their second this year. But you do that. You trade 2 seconds. I would do that instead of a first, but I don't know. I don't know, because you want the Knicks to rebuild here, but then you're kind of just going to be in the Kemba Walker Hornets range where, oh, you'll be like the 11th seed in the East every year, the 10th seed in the East, and you'll get the 13th pick, and you're not going to get a top 5 pick, and you're not making the playoffs. So you really want to be stuck in purgatory right there. So maybe they'll be an 8 seed. Maybe Chris Paul can lead them to an 8 seed, and maybe that's what the Knicks need to be respectable, and maybe go out and sign a free agent. Sure. Also, if Chris Paul was making less than 41 mil, maybe. I just don't know. It's a risk. It is a risk, and I don't know if it could pay off. Maybe. If the Knicks maybe end up drafting Anthony Edwards, or if they view maybe RJ could be a small forward and they draft Killian Hayes at the 2 and then they roll Chris Paul, sure, but you're going to have a top 5. Actually, no. They're going to have a top 8 pick. You cannot make the same mistake with Frank and Kevin Knox. You need to play this dude, develop this dude, build around this dude with RJ Barrett, okay? Like last year, Frank Ntilikina's rookie year, yeah, they played Jared Jack over him. Wow, you just drafted this guy, what, 8th overall? What are you doing? Or 7th overall? What are you doing? 8th overall, I believe. I forgot what Frank... 8th overall. Kevin Knox, you drafted 9th overall. Yeah, you played him a lot. And he was horrible on defense, but he got to, just shoot the ball and just be out there. And this year, he plays 14 minutes a night. I'm not saying he's good, but you're just giving up on them and you're not building around them. RJ Barrett this year. Horrible team around him. No floor spacers, ball dominant guys. It kind of sucked. Not really good defense. The only floor spacer was Marcus Morris, and then you traded him away. So just don't make the same mistake the Knicks. You should just draft your guy, build around him, build for the future, and not just waste another top 10 pick. I'm done talking about the Knicks, so please don't give me another Knicks trade. He wrote a lot about there. Like always, I will leave a link to the article in the description. Orlando finds some scoring. I'm all for that. And they trade, is it a Gordon for Oubre swap? Yeah, so this is interesting. I think if Orlando gets offered this, they 100% accept this trade. I've said this a lot in the past. I think Jonathan Isaac is a lot better of a 4, and I think he doesn't fit well with Aaron Gordon. I've said this last year. I said this in the 2018-19 season. They should look to move Aaron Gordon. They have their bigs in Vucevic and Bamba for now. They have Isaac at the 4. They have kind of Fournier and Fultz, a little bit of a backcourt combo, and then they have Ross and Okeke will come off the bench next year. But I think you get a primary scorer because I think Gordon fits best as a power forward, as like a stretch 4. You can bring the ball up, and I think Isaac is a little bit in the same role. So, like Gordon, you got to kind of mold him into that Draymond role. He could be a ball handler. He could pass the ball. He can score the ball. He could post up. And I think he'd be a better of a power forward. And and he's a great defender too. And I think I would really like him, or I'd like the fit with him and DeAndre Ayton. Yes, I don't know if the Suns would do this though. I think Orlando should do this 10 times out of 10. I think Orlando might have to throw in like a pick or an asset. I don't know what asset they would throw in. Maybe just a second or 2. I don't know if they would give up their first this year. I think they're pretty equal in players and talent level. It's just, I don't know if Phoenix would do that just because also, I think Gordon has 2 more years left on his deal. Oubre has 1. And you're going to have to pay DeAndre Ayton in 2 years. You're going to have a top 10 draft pick this year. Or top 12. Yeah, you know what? I'm leaning towards Phoenix doing this trade. I am. If you can definitely get like a protected first next year out of this, I don't think they would do that. If you can get a second or 2 out of this, I'm open to doing this if you're Phoenix. You draft a point guard, you try to get Cole Anthony, you have Cole Anthony, Devin Booker, Aaron Gordon, DeAndre Ayton for your future, and then you could start Cam Johnson, you could start Mikal Bridges. They have small forwards that they could kind of slide in there. So you know what? I am open to both these teams agreeing to this. I really like this for Orlando. I like this a little bit less for Phoenix, but I still like it for Phoenix. I just don't know if Phoenix would agree to this to already trade Kelly Oubre. But you know what? This was a pretty logical trade, okay? All 3 of these have been pretty logical. So the first one was a little far-fetched, but these last 2 have been, you could see them happening. I know this was rumored at the deadline as well. Also, Phoenix trying to get Luke Kennard. So the next trade we got, that was the 3rd one. The Sixers break up the core. All right, let's see what is the trade here. Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum, Anthony Simons, or Nasir Little, a 2021 first-round pick, and a 2022 second-round pick. So you're going to be building around McCollum, or your foundation is now McCollum, Horford, and Embiid and Tobias Harris. Okay. I'm open. I'm kind of on the part that if you're going to break up the Sixers core, you trade Embiid. Simmons is younger. Not by much, but he's younger. He's more durable. He's going to be healthy. And I don't know. I think he's just he's a great two-way player, and obviously we know that maybe it's not the greatest fit in the world. It worked back in 2017, or 2017, yeah, 2017. And I don't know. I think Embiid, he might not be past, I don't think he could play past like 32. And Simmons, I think he can play until he's like 35, and I think you can build around him. I don't know. This is interesting because now if you're looking this, let's talk about this for the Trailblazers side. You're looking at a foundation of Simmons and Lillard. Can they fit together? Maybe you could probably play Ben Simmons as a power forward. He'll be a less ball-dominant guy, but you're going to have him now work the pick and roll. He'll be the roller instead of the guy, the ball handler. Yes, this will improve your defense as a, for the Blazers. You could put him at the 3, maybe Collins at the 4. So you're going to try to roll out maybe a Lillard, let's just say hypothetically Gary Trent or whoever they draft in the lottery this year. And then you would have Simmons at the 3, Collins at the 4, Nurkic at the 5. I think you could get better. I think you could get better, but then you got to give up your 2021 first, and Simmons is younger. You got to give up your 2022 second. Okay, I think Portland, you know what? I'm open to Portland doing this trade. Definitely. Maybe, yeah, I'm open to them doing this trade. Philly, I think if they want to move Ben Simmons, they want something more valuable because he's 23 years old. He was an all-star this year. He'll make an all-defensive team. He could pretty much guard almost every position on the floor. He could pass the ball extremely well. He could score inside. He's great in transition. He's a great ball handler. It's just the one thing he can't shoot. So I think if Philly would probably want something better than McCollum, who's a solid player, but maybe they would want a better first-round pick. I don't know. I'm trying to think like what else they could inquire for. Maybe like a Bradley Beal, but I don't think Washington would do that. Unless Bradley Beal definitely requested a trade. So yeah, this might be like the best offer they could do. Because obviously they're going to want a wing or even a point guard that can kind of just space the floor in general. Because then who plays point guard for them going forward? I don't know. I guess they'll have to draft someone or mold somebody into be that starting point guard. Because you have Thibault, Richardson, Harris. They're not ball dominant players, and they can't really run the be the floor general. So I really don't know anybody off the top of my head that they could offer. I really don't know. Like, I don't know. I think Kemba Walker would have been a great fit last year, but obviously the Celtics aren't going to be trading Kemba Walker for Ben Simmons. I think that would have been an interesting offer, Simmons for Kemba Walker, but Kemba Walker is almost 30, or he might be 30 already. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what they could offer out there that maybe is as good as McCollum, because you're going to want a wing player. You're not going to really want a front court guy. Or a backcourt guy, at least you're going to want. So, yeah, maybe this is the best offer they could do. I think Philly says no. Portland would say yes. I think. Maybe. And then, was that the 4th one? Yep. And then the 5th and final trade is a different scoring option for the Magic. Oh, okay. So, a second Magic trade. So, they trade for DeRozan, which I think is a possible trade as well. I don't know if they would want to give up Aaron Gordon for DeRozan. I think they would probably rather try to work something out with, like, Augustine, Terrence Ross, and a first-round pick. I think that's maybe what they would want to do. But yeah, I think this would be an interesting fit for the Magic. I think he can draw defenders and maybe open things up for Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz. You would have, what, a starting 5 next year. Fultz, Fournier, DeRozan, Isaac, Vucevic. That will still probably make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. A lot of people thought going into this year Orlando was going to be a top 4 seed. They were going to get that 3 or 4 seed, or at least 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they've been pretty disappointing, mainly because they need a scorer at the wing position. Even though Fournier's been solid, they kind of need that small forward. It could be Oubre, it could be DeRozan. So I think all these trades, I'll rank them in realistic options. So I think the most realistic one happening is probably this Chris Paul one. And then the second one is probably this Orlando one. Third one being this Orlando one for DeRozan. Fourth, probably the Sixers one. And then fifth, the Kevin Love for Aldridge. But yeah, you can let me know in the comments. Like, you could say, like, it would be cool if you just set up a column and it could be like, first trade. It could just be like, Love trade. Not happening. And then the next one could say, Chris Paul. Could happen. Orlando, and then it could be Orlando Gordon or Orlando Oubre. Not happening. And then it could be Philly, Ben Simmons, or Portland, Ben Simmons happening. And then you could write Orlando, DeRozan happening. Something like that. Just let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with some of these trades? Do you agree with what I said? Or do you disagree in any way? But yeah, that is going to be for me. Thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next video.